Hi everyone, welcome to Authentic Ingenuity Entrepreneur. My name is Mina Kreishin. Today is the 30th of May 2025. Oh goodness, it's quite early this morning. I'm just trying to gather all my thoughts on the topic that's actually on my heart, to do a video clip to keep everyone up to date and in the moment of what I'm going through, because my situation is definitely a real life criminal. Well, it's a criminal case upon an individual, obviously, and it's also live. So I've got stuff pending in court, still in the progress of going through it. At the moment, I'm going through other changes on top of that. So I've had a lot going, and I've just been trying to keep everything in the moment, cause just so for those that are watching what I'm going through, because the reality is it's definitely a global new world order, commonwealth, and relationship scam that is actually illegal. And in other words, my finding of what I've gone through, the system has actually diverted. Okay. So my channel, I'm basically focusing mainly, for those new on board, it's basically mainly about my identity, my entity, my ideas, and my intellectual property, which is everything to do with me. And also to do with my real life facts as an individual. This is all consistent with the facts that I have in my criminal cases or in my statements of claim as the plaintiff, or in this case now also the prosecutor or the victim of my case. So with that being said, I'll continue with what's on my heart. As I'm gathering my thoughts. It's still quite early in the morning. I've been really, really busy, and I will just go with it as I'm being guided and navigated by what's on my heart. Okay, guys. So for those that are new on board, I'm self-representing my own personal case in the courts. So at this point in time, I'm actually the plaintiff, and the defendants I have my claims against is the government, the Crown. So this is my case, and and I've been keeping the evidence in the moment because one is also for those that are investigating and watching, and also for those that are following me, and also so there's no confusion. Okay, so because obviously what I didn't realize over the years, before I even discovered social media myself and went on it because I've had to. It's something I didn't want to do, but I had to because I just felt guided, and really, my belief at that point in time, what I'd gone through after being derailed road from my occupation, and the personal experience that I went through while I was working for my employer. I knew that it was actually really serious. And so I felt strongly in my heart that I needed to put my story, or linking to my court cases, because I knew I was going to use the court system to lodge complaints and oppose everything that they had done to me while I was working for my employer. And so at this point in time, the offender is the Crown. And so, and I'm actually the victim of crimes, although in the beginning, the game that was I was actually being used for, they had made me the ogre, even though I walked around minding my own business. But those who started the game in the beginning had evil motive and intent to actually destroy and eliminate an individual just by their games. So that is what we're at, and now I'm opposing all that and just basically exposing from a victim's point of view and their mindset of their own personal experience, and also proving in real life who's actually the offender and who's the wrongdoing, who's doing the wrongdoing, as far as the laws are concerned from a legal point of view. So I'll just carry on with that. Okay, so what I'm dealing with at this point of time is my property rights. Okay, so I'm dealing with my property rights as an individual, whether it's private property, whether it's personal property, anything to do with me and my personal property profile, or anything that I'm a client to as far as corporate bodies are concerned. This includes medical records, anything to do with internal affairs, also water bill, bank records, dental records, and court case records. Yeah, you name it, employment records. This is what you consider as your property as an individual. Okay, as soon as you're born and of age, you become, you're a human being, and everything about yourself becomes your property. And until you're actually an adult of age, then you can actually legally, like by law, anything you do when you reach adult age, that is, that's your property. You don't need parent guidance or anything like that. So this is what my case is all about. I'm dealing with my personal property, my human rights and Bill of Rights, and also proving a fact that I've actually been used for illegal money laundering, and also as time have gone on, very serious culpable offences. Today they call it Category 4. So that it's definitely conspiracy crimes, but my profile clearly articulates very serious culpable offences in Category 4. Okay, so there's definitely a lot of evidence of hit and run in my profile. So definitely it's a left behind case. So people have actually been in my space to do the damage, break very serious offences, and then leave the crime scene. But the victims have been, they know that they've been attacked, and then the people within their environment are persecuting them, emotionally tormenting them, and just sitting and waiting for the right time to make their move. Obviously, the motive and intent is to commit a crime without getting caught. So that is my personal experience. People have committed serious offences, and then those involved, behind the scene doing the surveillancing and monitoring are actually helping them get away or cover up. But this also explains why my court cases have been prolonged, why sometimes the judges have actually not done a judgment immediately. It's all consistent. The evidence clearly shows it's consistent with what the actual victim has suffered individually and personally by secret societies. Okay, so we're dealing with internal corruption, starting from privacy breaches. Unfortunately, as soon as your privacy is gone, anything is possible. They can use you like an app. You do become a slave, and like I said, anything is possible. It is a life and death set of circumstances for the victims personally. All right, guys, I like to kind of just get you guys into the mindset of what I'm actually doing, and then I'll go on to the actual original topic that's on my heart for today. But we're dealing with after the fact incidents or in regards to what happened to me as a individual, and there's a clear case that I have definitely been used for pecuniary advantage and other very serious culpable offences has happened to me. But all these can be actually dealt with after the fact, even if nothing is happening. And it's easy to undo, and I guess that's exactly what I'm actually doing. Okay, guys, so we're dealing with a conspiracy. Okay, even if somebody attempts is a crime, like even if there are signs that a person attempted to commit a crime, or having the intent to commit a crime, or or an offence. Okay, we're talking about the motive and the intent. So if the evidence is there that there is definitely an attempt to commit an offence or anything like that, that is an offence. Okay, so we're dealing with monitoring and surveillancing of people. It's one thing a person, the government or whoever's behind the surveillancing of people. It's one thing to surveillance. It's another thing to interfere and use someone for money laundering purposes, or as a slave, as we know, that's illegal too. It's just a matter of proving it. All right, guys, so we know espionage is 14 years imprisonment. Okay, so these laws are active. So they're not active for, just for the sake of it, just, to have it in legislation. They're actually active for the reason is that if anybody, corporate or any individuals or any state involved, any group is linked to a crime scene or anything that is serious, they can be charged for espionage. Okay, and that is 14 years imprisonment. So it doesn't matter whether we are being monitored, we are being surveillanced, but as a public member, we're entitled to privacy. We're entitled to be left alone. We're entitled to be able to advance without interference. We're entitled to, if we want to have a relationship with somebody. So basically, we're entitled to to anything that is our legal right as a human being, as long as you're not breaking the law. Okay, guys, so quite clearly, my case, as the years have gone by, it has accumulated. I'm definitely a exploited individual while I was working for my employer. As the years have gone by, some of the incidents have actually occurred in the moment. It has only just triggered all other memories. Has only just triggered all other incidents that has occurred, meaning it's exactly the same spirit, exactly the same pattern, the exactly same method, but just different people, right? But the evidence clearly shows that I've been in bondage, or in captivity is the word. Okay, it means obviously I'm wanting to go forward. I'm doing everything I'm supposed to do to go forward, but I'm being suppressed. I've been deprived of so many things. It's quite clear. So servitude has taken place, and then there's forced labour has taken place. There's, like in regards to my court cases. Going back to 2010, I had a reason of belief and a suspicion that someone was after my organs. So what I have actually found in reality is that a lot of the incidents that I have been going through personally, even till now, exactly the same methods, abuse, emotional torture, just different. You're just speaking to different people, doing it. They're switching, and but it's the same spirit. So spiritually speaking, the people you're speaking to, you can easily articulate whether the motive and intent is right or it is wrong. One can only get better at it, and that's my personal experience. However, the penalty is 20 years imprisonment, and the fine is $500,000. Or it's a case by case basis, just because the law says one thing, or other laws comes that's taken into consideration, depending on the evidence and everything else that encompasses our case. But it's definitely a case of an exploited person. So we will just continue on. Okay, going backwards to when I started having privacy breaches, and it eventually just got worse and worse. My situation at that point in time got worse and worse, but I didn't know it was a global thing. Okay, I didn't know that I'd become, I was being monitored by somebody globally, but I knew I was being stalked or surveillanced, or I don't know. I just knew somebody was targeting me, and just all the signs were there in the moment, but they didn't make sense. But I didn't know at that point of time that it was someone globally. Okay, so but now I've had a lot of time in solitude, going over my cases and everything, and as the victim of crimes, I can actually 100% confirm that anything that I've actually gone through in a moment, historically is exactly the same as what I have gone through from when the breaches first started. And then by 2010, it was like all hell broke loose. But this is what they're doing, monitoring, okay? It's global, so it can be anyone. The system is definitely set out for global surveillance. So what I've gone through can happen to basically anybody. So I am a survivor of the New World Order trafficking system, and everything is so clear to me, but it is definitely slavery or slave-like, meaning some of us are definitely slave, and if you're not a slave, you can easily end up being a slave, because the system can divert, push you out, and you end up going through what I've gone through. It is a category 4 case. And so it's definitely conspiracy crime. So the last video clip I put up, I decided to use my hand and draw where I was coming from. It's basically like this. All right, this is basically what it is, what I drew on that whiteboard. So if, it's a difference when people know what they're up against. It just changes your mind from seeing your set of circumstances as yourself being actually personally attacked by an enemy, or you're personally attacked by an opposing ally who breaking the law. Okay, the dangerous thing I have found is that they are using the misuse of devices. They are definitely switching, like gluing themselves to victims like a bad odor, stealing their energy, and then they do switch and steal. And it's also called animation, so it is that, okay, but it's global. We don't know who it is. We have these people call themselves agencies, but they actually are perpetrators if they're committing offences. Okay, so the originals becomes the prey, and the perpetrators are the actual criminal. That's how it is in the criminal terminology. Okay, so but these people are calling themselves agencies. We don't know what they look like. They don't show their face. They like to operate through other people. Obviously, quite clearly, they've been using through inexperienced people in my space. They're using, them to protect their identity, or using them to be a parrot or a mouthpiece. And then they use the original's immediate friends and family. They go along with it without any understanding that they're actually being used, okay? In the call centers and hub desk email, that is also used like a block and a guarantee for these agencies to get away with some pretty serious criminal offences. But once it's proven, the experts behind the scene, not everyone is corrupt, they would be able to easily find out who's behind it, and that's how it is, guys. So if you don't know how the system works, this is it, okay? They're just looking through cameras. That's very fine. They can do that as long as they're not using it for relationship scams and causing division in other people's lives, and stealing or categorizing people, as whether what kind of a group they should be. That's discrimination, right? Unfortunately, that's what they've used me for when I put on the blackboard. There's this 1 and 2 and 3, and then they switch. 1, is apparently meant to be the more so. This is where the hierarchy people operate. Okay, so they have some kind of a system where people are, specific groups of people are being categorized, and then some, like in other people, are the ones that are the slaves or end up being a slave, but they're also being animated by other people. But the thing is, we don't know who they are. They call themselves agencies. It's global game, guys, so it's even more serious and dangerous. And it can take anyone out unless you know the laws and stuff like that, or or you at least know just the basics. At least it'll just give you a chance to protect yourself and your own family. But that is the New World Order system, and the court cases, or the court system and the government system, is designed the same way. Okay, you can just listen to the radio. You can hear them. They're gloating. The opposing allies are gloating. They're helping each other. They don't want anything about them being the offender exposed to the public. So they've tried to, deceive the public by deception, making the actual original, the person that's mentally unwell, or whatever you want to call it. But all this is a big, massive scam. It's a plot. It's fake. It's a cover-up of years of serious wrongdoing, theft. Okay, and they're also trying to protect their the system, because they, without it, they can't operate it. And if no one wants to go along with what they're doing, well, they can't operate either. But this is what I am personally going through. It is definitely still 20 years imprisonment, because it's a trafficking in persons case. All right, guys, so definitely relationship scams is definitely being used, okay? So, like I said, they've used me, and then other secret societies, they, we all know some very super rich people. Their culture is so different, and they can't really relate to other cultures and other beliefs or other religions and stuff like that, because they don't mix. So they have the mindset of, they see other people as a slave or a scum, or someone in poverty. So that is number 1. Okay, that's category 1. So what happens is everything gets switched, and that's exactly what's happened in my situation. The whole idea is to actually eliminate the original after stealing off them or being used for relationships, scams, or whatever they want to call it. This is also involving anything to do with them monetary wise, okay? A good example is Henry Cavill's situation. We all know he's an actor, and then he has management who manages everything to do with him. So he's actually kind of like a bit of a property when you do that. They call themselves agencies, so you become a property, and obviously even though he's an actor and he's worth a lot of money, I mean, he's did all the hard work. Okay, he's the professional, he's the attraction everyone is attracted to, he's the money maker because of his acting career, and so he becomes a property in Hollywood or whoever is behind, that's making money out of him. Okay, so but he's only a property to them if he is actively working. Anything after that, that's still their property, but him as an original human being in his private life, legally by law, they don't actually own him. There's a difference. But anything he did while he was working, that becomes the agency's property because he signed over his rights at that time because he was working, it was part of working, but he would still be entitled to that too if he went to, like legally, it's still a lot of it's he has rights to all that too, but he'd need to go through the legal processes. Lawyers would have to go through legal processes for all that kind of thing. I'm just trying to explain. So what I'm trying to say is that's exactly what's happened to me. Okay, so I've had all these secret societies use me like some kind of a property, turn me into a slave without my consent. So because of that, I can now have everyone involved in what they've done to me. Criminal charges can be laid against everyone involved in that, and that is where I'm at. I was just using Henry as a good example. So obviously quite clearly, we had Natalie Vasquizo and all these other women. That's the Hollywood lifestyle. Unfortunately, this whole system has actually adapted or adopted itself, or now the court system has now allowed this kind of thing to happen to everyone globally. And even just to innocent civilians like myself, mind your own business, doing everything honestly. And then we have all these agencies now, wanting to, doing what they're doing because that is their culture, that's their mindset, that's their thinking. However, every country, they have their laws. There's some things you can do, there's some things you cannot do. Regardless, if the victims have not consented to it, you're breaking the law. Right, quite clearly, my case is demolishing of a human being. That is the motive and intent of what everyone has done to me, and that's quite clear now. Okay? So the whole idea is to use someone and then, keep them down. Okay? Spiritually speaking, they're attacking them spiritually and stealing their positive energy to get them to a state of mind where they've lost everything, and they are singled out, exiled from their families and friends, and them not really knowing that that their own family member, somebody's trying to actually kill them. But then that's why they're doing all the deception on the surface. Okay, globally, because the game can only succeed if the deception, illusion of lies is, and the public is kept deceived, or the honest people, ignore it, thinking, oh, it's just nothing, blah, blah, blah. But underneath the surface, the originals are buried, and they're actually victims of crimes fighting for their life. But that is what you call a conspiracy, and I think everyone who's been watching me or is enlightened to the truth now. Okay, speaking, we're locked out, blocked, banded, or what is it? You're banned. But spiritually speaking, we're dealing with a negative force, okay, a negative alliance of mixture of other cultures, religious beliefs, other spiritual evil forces all mixed together, rapists, murderers, whatever, But so this is my situation historically, or anyone that is buried in their truth. You're left in limbo. But it does get more, that what I found, the alliances become more and more evil. Okay, they become more and more confident, and if they know that they can get away from doing something wrong, they will do it. Okay, and so when that happens, you know that your whole area environment is contaminated. It's serious, it's dangerous, and it's deadly, and it can happen to anyone. Okay, but there's a lot of confusion, they're lying, a lot of unlawful acts, unruly. These people, they're a law to themselves. They do not care. It's serious because some of them do have some pretty serious mental health issues, psychopathic mental health issues, or fetishes, or stuff like that. Unless, the straightforward, honest people are able to articulate the seriousness of someone's situation. These people, will eventually, their intent is actually to murder those they are conspiring evil to. Okay, and they're only strong in numbers. Okay, obviously. And obviously, spiritually speaking, the truth must be exposed to stop these evil spirits operating, and they also must be caught and removed from their occupation immediately. Right, guys? So basically, this is how we can actually ascertain our environment, whether it's hostile, aggressive, anguish, unfriendly, enmity. It's a negative force. Okay, so if you can't find anyone normal and friendly, it's obvious you're being micromanaged or surveillance. Okay, it's a horrific situation. It's words. I've personally been in that situation, and words can't describe what I've gone through personally, emotionally, as a human being. But I've learned a lot, and it's a spiritual warfare, but it's not. Okay, so what will happen is the enemy or the opposing allies are using their job. They're in the moment, or they're they're somewhere within in the mix. Okay, they're coding each other. They're acting normal. So over time you can only get better at articulating your environment yourself. So I hope that works. I hope you understand where I'm coming from, because it's not something to ignore. Okay, I'm not the type of person playing games, but conspiracy crimes are serious, and just knowing that you are actually targeted or maybe targeted just helps you make the right decision in the moment, safety first, and making right decisions. All right, I like to keep everybody in the loop, of the real life opposing allies. Okay, I've been used for relationship scams. So according to me, these people are my perpetrators, or the people using them are my perpetrators. Okay, so keep in mind that they are the defendants or the offender, and I'm actually the victim opposing them. Okay, so you cannot be both. All right, so that is what I'm up against. Over time, the alliances get stronger and stronger. People are moved by the game. Some people get a fetish of being able to to steal, play games that they can get away with and think they won't get caught, but it's actually a very serious situation for the originals and the victims, because if they are unaware, they will get murdered. Okay, so these are the signs of if you feel like you can't turn anywhere, you feel like you got nobody, it's because you've been contaminated. It's because they've already, you've, for some reason you feel exiled or on your own. It's because somehow things have your situation has changed and you've been pushed out or locked out. Because I like to use me and Henry's set of circumstances because it's very recent. And I just recall when he first went through what he went through. He went through mental anguish. He went through, anguish and just shock of everything changing. And I went through the same thing. I just went through a shock, the shock of the situation changing, the shock of feeling powerless, the shock of all these things happen that's out of your control, that you had no intention for any of it to happen. You feel accused. You feel like, everyone's against you. It's called mental anguish. I was able to identify this when he was going through it in the beginning. And I just persevered and everything because I understood him and because I'd been through it myself. So I knew and picked up, I realized by this time what kind of culture he came from. So every situation is different, but a personal victimization and ending up being a victim to something out of your control. Everything seems like nothing's going well, or but the thing is, he was being blocked, and I knew. In fact, I already knew when I first met him, and as time went on, I knew he was being cyberbullied. He didn't know that. I could see it as I got to know him as time went on. I didn't understand his culture. I hate Hollywood culture. It's so unruly. And then even before he got sick, I was able to ascertain that he was actually being personally attacked and so forth. But then he went through the shift and change situation without his control, and he ended up getting sick. And then, we went through all that process, but then he had to deal with the depression, and I've had to go through that. So these are all the signs you will go through: depression, okay, anxiety, feeling lonely, you can't trust anybody, feel, it's horrific. Your good friend list becomes smaller and smaller. You don't know who to trust because of the game, okay, and even your family ends up being your enemy or the opposing allies too at times, because they're affected in the game, but they can turn on you whenever, and that's the reality. It is a conspiracy, and that's why privacy laws are 100% more very, very important, so these things don't happen. Half of the time your family and friends don't know the truth, okay. They've been misguided, they've been misled, they've been lied to, and they haven't actually asked me anything. So anything they found out is on social media, and so it's my word against everyone that's lied about me. But this is what actually happens when you get to a point of, spiritually, and also when you go through a grieving process of so many things. You feel empty, but it is a process that happens. I didn't even know what mental anguish was. My weakness, I ended up swearing heaps. That was how I dealt with my anger, okay. I was never ever a swearer. I mean, I'm not perfect. I used to when I was a teenager, you just do naughty things, say, that's life. I'm not one to pretend to be an angel when I'm not, but that was part of my mental anguish. Like, you do get angry. Other people react to mental anguish differently. Others can come aggressive. It is a very dangerous situation for any human being that's been wronged. Okay, they can easily take revenge and do something wrong against whoever has done them wrong, whatever it is. But that's a very, very dangerous set of circumstance. The best way to deal with it is to confide and have somebody you trust to talk to. Just go through it. Just go through the process and allow yourself to heal. Okay, but things do trigger it. whether it's the same bullies bullying, do that, different things do trigger it, and then, you go through an angry situation. It's because you have had no relief. It is because you are not being believed. It's because you know in your heart you are innocent. So if you're like that, don't give up, right? Don't give up, and just persevere, and just read your circumstance differently. So it's really ascertaining what's the truth, what is natural, and what is not, and who's actually in control. Is God is in control, which is natural, or is other people in control? Other people trying to force their beliefs on you? Other people, who strongly believe you should be doing this or don't like you for some certain reason? Who is in control? Okay, that is basically what it is when you're on your own, and your thoughts and solitude, your decision making and everything. Alright, clearly I've been used like an app, so I've had so many people animate or inanimate. There's clear evidence I've been used like a product. So today I'm going to be talking on my situation. I've already mentioned them on my video clips and my outing and everything like that. But I'm going through changes at the moment. So I've had my court cases and everything, and other personal things on top of that. So I've been busy, trying to find, excuse me, I'm just trying to think how I'm going to explain what I've got on my heart. Okay, so I've had to relocate. Okay, so I've had to kind of decide where I'm going to go, what I'm going to do. With my set of circumstances, being contaminated, being controlled by so many people watching me, and so many people who doesn't want me to progress, or, I'm talking about the relationship scam. So it's like I've been in limbo, right? And all I have to go with is to save my own life, it's the decision in the moment. So my circumstances it's not in my control. The only thing that I have in control is whether I say yes or no, or whatever decision I make for me. That's the only time I have control. Anything else, as far as social media, as far as when I go to appointments and stuff like that, other people are in control. So I knew that people are trying to control me. Okay, obviously, my court cases, what I've gone through, quite clearly there are agencies or people that have tried to own me like a property, or have some kind of a say in anything to do with me, which I have not consented. Okay, I've been acting, been living my life as a individual, independent citizen, or an independent female. And then I've had all kinds of perpetrators globally involved in what's happening to me because of the relationship scam. So if you're watching all my other videos, basically this is just another video in relation to that of an in the moment incident. Okay, I just rang the police yesterday. I'm doing what I'm doing, but like I said, I'm glued to the opposing allies and that, and their agents. I don't know who it is, and obviously they're using the relationship scam, and I've denounced all that, and I'm still denouncing all that. But these women are being controlled by their agents, right? And so they have the upper hand because their agents are doing everything for them, and then they've got their followers because I've been coded, and then they're all in my space helping those women. Why? Because they want to steal, obviously Henry, or it's happened to me too with other men. Okay, it's a game. It's a real life game. But and I'm just like one of these people, just minding my own business. Anyway, I've had a lot of setbacks. Okay, the most recent incident is that after so many things I've got on my plate, and I managed to get an apartment through the help of work and income. Okay, we're dealing with government agencies here. Okay, and my government, and they're all part of it. Everyone knows about me. So, and then, so I managed to get an apartment under an emergency because of my situation. It's not like I'm trying. Everyone knows I'm trying. And then I got one, and then on the day that I spoke to the homeowner, it got declined on the day. And somehow during this period of time, in my heart, I felt God was speaking to me. Something is not right. Okay, something is not right. It was like I just had one of those feelings. Something was not right. So usually I get that when I know something's not right, I have to actually be extra alert. I knew that I was being targeted within my environment, and that's why I started recording my environment when I went out, because these people were coming out. When I'm by myself, I ring the police. They don't care. They hang up, and they know it's happening. Okay, so it's an internal corruption. Somebody internally is doing it. So that's why I started recording as a self-defense, and it's working. So thank you for those, doing their job. I really appreciate it. You're doing a good job. But it's a learning process for everyone at the same time. This homeowner, because I know the court system. I also know the ministry of work and income, Ministry of Social Development System, because I've had a lot to do with it personally, so I already know my rights. Okay, and nothing has actually changed that much, but this system has changed it. Okay, they have changed it so then agencies can have some say or whatever, do what they're doing over an individual, in my case over me. Okay, but I didn't realize this before, but now I feel like God is using me to actually reveal the actual system itself and what I've actually been used for. All right. So I was very disappointed because I was really happy my application got granted quite quickly, because I've been going through my application decline, but it's not being declined for the right reasons, guys. Okay, that it's been declined, and it's actually been the opposing allies, those women, declining me. They're declining me, to put them, to keep themselves, or to keep me down, to keep me from advancing, and also shifting the situation and deceiving Henry. I don't know what's going on behind his scene at that point in time, but I'm just using this as an example, and I believe this is what I was going through when I was at Church of Christ, okay, but I didn't know it. It's just, all I can say is I can confirm that's exactly what I've gone through, except this time I'm opposing it publicly, exposing it publicly, okay, with evidence, and experiencing it in the moment. So anyway, that got declined. There was a lot about that. I wasn't happy. Okay. So while I've been with a work and income. I'm not on work and income because it's my fault. It's quite clear. I'm a trafficking victim. They pushed me out from my job, rode me out of my job by force, and I'm definitely being, used for relationship scam. It's quite clear. So really it's just basically ascertaining who is behind it, what state is behind it, what group is behind it, what government is behind it, who is controlling it, who are these agencies. But anyway, this is the New World Order system that I've been subject to. But these are women that, are being used. They too are being represented by agencies. And I can just tell by the way that they're using their name, it's by somebody hierarchy. So it could be somebody superior overseas, somebody prominent overseas. So everyone, people just have this thing. You look at somebody prominent and we think, yeah, they're right. But yeah, and that's rightly so, because we do expect them to be right and not lying to us, not lying to the public. That's how we look at people in authority, with respect, and we expect, we're trusting them because that is the right thing to do. And we are to obey orders, we are to obey those in authority, because we are all for the right reasons. But I found that these perpetrators are being groomed or sponsored by people in hierarchy. So they think that they can just put a name there, and then that's just a tactic to get the public in favour of the relationship scam issue. Okay, so I'm just trying to explain that's what I've gone through. But I didn't know who I haven't had any agents, because I haven't assigned any agents, because I don't know anything about agents, because I don't know. All I know is that I've been blocked and declined, even though I've done everything correct. So it wasn't until this recent incident when I had to get some help from Work and Income, and it is Work and Income's job to help those others, those citizens or people that is a client to them, to help them get in an emergency housing. It's Work and Income's job. Okay, that is why they're there for. So I went there, passed all the criteria, blah, 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 keep a long story short. And then I got the call, and I only told probably only 2 or 3 people that I got, I'd found a place, everything's looked good, and we're all happy, only for it to get cancelled, a few days later. Of course, the disappointment and with everything I've gone through, I have high blood pressure, but it was no difference to what I've gone through historically. So, the rejection, the blocking, the opposing, everything that's negative, it's not new news to me, okay, if not, you know what I'm saying. However, God was actually revealing to me the actual people and how it actually works. Okay, so they made me sign all these documents. Work and Income is telling me, because they're not allowed. They are not allowed to give out any information to anyone publicly. Any government agency are not allowed without their consent. That still stands today. The only time you can do that is if you consent to it verbally, orally. You say, oh yes, that's fine, or you sign it. But things like to do with your personal profile, you have to have a signature. This includes anything to do, like if you've got criminal history or anything like that, no one has the right to that. No one unless you have actually consented it. That still stands. Okay, there are laws, clean slate laws that cleans a person's profile, making them clean. That does not even come up to it. Your employer is not entitled to that. They don't have. No one has any rights to anything unless the individual is entitled to it. So this is my experience. Okay, so that got declined. I kept on going every day, doing my thing, doing my bit, not giving up, trying my best, and trying to make the best decision for myself, not for anyone else, for Minna, because my life is in danger. I believe myself. I know that I'm being left in limbo. I know I'm being contaminated. I know my enemy has their foot in everything I'm doing, and all that. Then Work and Income rings, lets me know that I could go to a place for an appointment. And so I went there not knowing anything. Okay, so I go to the appointment, and then I found out the actual appointment is for it was like I don't know how to explain it. It was like a women's refuge, but it's not. It's an apartment. Had locked up facilities, had security. I felt safe there. I did. I went, oh, okay, I like that. I like that. It's okay. So the lady, the young girl, spoke to me. She was, very friendly. I said, okay, that's, I thought all ticks the right boxes. I felt safe. That was important in the beginning. It was my first instance. And then she showed me the room, and we asked questions, we exchanged questions, okay. And then we sat down, and she said, you need to actually fill out the forms. And I said, okay. And I started filling out the forms. And then she said, you need to sign a form. You need an agent, and you need to sign a form. And I says, a form for what? She said, a form to give the agent authority to access everything, your file and anything, talk on your behalf. And I says, oh, okay. Is she here? She says, no, she's not here. I says, well, I don't feel right signing a form without an agent. And I said, can I have a copy? Can I have a copy of the form so I can take it home and read it? She said, I realised she wasn't going to give me one, or she just was hesitant. And I just said, okay, well, how about I take a photo of the forms, you tell that lady. I said, where is she? She goes, oh, you spoke to her on the phone, because I actually rang the number that was given to me. She answered and gave me direction which way to go, because I got lost in town. And so I found it, but it wasn't her that answered the phone. So I said, okay, why not tell her that I won't sign the forms. I'll take this home, I'll read it, and then I tell her I'll come back first thing in the morning, and I will have a look at it. I mean, I'll come in and sign it with her, but I will take these, I'll read the forms when I go home. And then I'll come back in the morning. What time does she come in? She says, oh, she should be here about 9 a.m. I says, okay, well, I'll come back in the morning and sign the forms with her. And then, and she says, okay, we'll do that. So, but she said if I had signed that, she was going to give me a key. I was in desperate mood. I was stressed. I could have easily have signed that form without even reading that. But when she said agent, I was like, okay, what does an agent do? And then she described it to me, and I just straight away, I go, I need to read this. So that's what happened. I didn't sign it. I said, how about I'll take it home and I'll have a think about it. I need to sleep over it, give it a thought, and read the forms. So I did that, went home, ended up being really busy again, went out for dinner with family and stuff like that. And then, with all that, with my situation on my mind, I've been burnt out spiritually, emotionally, dealing with my court cases and all these other things going on in my private life. Okay, and then just me, oh God, I need to make the right decision. Help me make the right decision. And with that in mind, with the inclination, from the Holy Spirit, that something was radically wrong and to be careful, and I was. And if you're watching those video clips that I actually put up when I went out, you saw a car or vans coming out with the word execute, all right? Those are the kind of things you look out. I knew that they were going to do something bad, but the Holy Spirit had already spoken to me before all this happened, so I was just being alert, going out, doing my business every day. Part of me was a bit scared because I felt, because I'm doing this all on my own and they know it. So with that, I read the forms at night time before I went to bed, and then I slept on it. I hadn't changed my mind, and I read the forms and I go, okay. And then I just prayed and asked God to help me make the right decision. The next morning, I didn't really sleep well because I didn't like what I was reading. Okay. So these are the forms that was given to me. Okay, it says appointment of an agent. Okay, so keeping in mind that work and income has not given me any case officer like they should have, right since from the day I didn't have, when I got derailed and forced to go on the benefit. So even though I've kept asking, I kept requesting it, and they have never given me a case officer to case manage. They have not treated me with respect of my personal property or anything private. So, this is the same when I was working with my employer. So it was the same system. But I questioned it because I was thinking, okay, work and income says that they don't give out information, but then I've got these people asking me to sign out all my information and sign another form, even after having an appointment with a case officer. The case officer referred me to these, they referred my application, and then these people came on site and gave me this form. Okay, that's what it says. But then it's got Ministry Work and Income's letterhead, and I was thinking, okay. All right, don't forget I'm linked to these women, okay, that wants to be with Henry, blah, blah, blah. And they've got all these people pretending, illusion, whatever, to deceive the public. And I'm supposed to be a nobody. So I took it home and then I read it. And this bothered me. Okay. Let's have a look. It bothered me because it was like signing a power of attorney form, meaning giving this agency, whom I haven't met yet, the permission to collect all my information. Right here it says, and everything. It gives them the authority to access and collect everything, and then it also gives them the authority to actually share the information, like talk freely on my behalf. There was another form, and did I get it? Yeah, and that bothered me. It bothered me because of my court cases. It bothered me because I don't want anyone to do that. I don't need a representative unless the judge actually orders it, because that's the only time I'm not allowed to represent myself in court, according to the laws, is if a judge makes an order to do that, or a direction to do that, and he hasn't. Okay, but this bothered me, and it bothered me because Work and Income should not be doing that. They should not be allowing other agencies to do what they're doing to me when it's their job. I mean, this is my private information. Unfortunately, because they're using their letterhead, it does make Work and Income liable. Okay, but I didn't sign it. I ended up changing my mind. Because I'd been praying about it, and then I ended up talking to some people, and as time went on, I knew I was making the right decision, and I've made the right decision. Okay, so, and then I rang the lady and I said no. And funny enough, when I rang, they said she wasn't on site, and yet she was meant to be there because I'm supposed to have an appointment. But what I found is that whoever is controlling and manipulating me, okay, and playing games, I don't know what they want to call it, but it has been inhumane. It's a robot slave system. Okay, I'm doing all the hard work, other people gets to steal it. That's what they're doing. I'm just trying to get the forms out. Sorry I've gone on too long, but as you know, it's actually quite important. There was just a little writing I saw somewhere. I'll see if I can find it. But I'm sure all of you can trust my word by now. I wouldn't be misleading anyone. Excuse me. But this is the new age system involving Work and Income, and I don't agree with it. Okay, this is where I went in town. Okay. I felt safe there, it was good, but because only I know my situation, only I know that people have let me down or lied to me, because, they have, and only I know the truth about myself, and my human rights, Bill of Rights is gone. Only I know that everyone's treating me like a slave and pretending I don't exist. and then they're animating me and inciting my life, relationship scam life, on TV and government. As you all know, I think everyone's woken up to it now globally. Everything would have been okay if I wasn't going through my situation. Here's why. This place, it doesn't allow, we're not allowed to have any men there, which is not a problem. I don't have an issue with that. We're not allowed to have family or friends to visit. No one's allowed to come and visit me to see if I'm okay. So that was one a no-no to me, okay, because of my situation, because no one knows it better than me. 2, if I sign my signing rights over to an agent that I haven't even met, it means they own all rights to everything, like in regards to my court case. It also means it allows, I don't know these people, they may even be helping the opposing allies because of my court cases. That's not fair. So I didn't want to give anyone that authority because I know I have won my court cases legally. Okay? So if I'm going to win my court cases, I want it because I won it. I want what is rightfully mine. By law, they have to compensate victims. But these agencies will have all authority to go into every single thing to do with my profile. That is wrong. Okay, these agencies are global agencies. They're people from around the world. That is wrong. We don't know who they are. It's just because somebody says agencies. I mean, people's identities are being stolen. People are imposturing. I mean, who cares if you're a police officer? Who cares if you're a doctor? Who cares if you got that? I just care to make sure you're not actually an imposter. People do fake everything these days. And so I didn't like that. But this is the agent thing that I've been subject to historically. And that's not fair. The only time anyone can take over my case in New Zealand is if a judge makes the direction for another barrister or another crown to take over my case, and that's what I wanted. But they made my case stay in civil, which is unfair. This is the other thing I found out. This also gives the agency the authority to charge the working income, whatever they want, without me even knowing or consenting. This is what they did to me with Unison Dance Crew. It was my idea. They stole it. Then they stole my identity. Then they used funding money and blah, 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 you name it. And then they made me pay the tax. That is fraud. That is money laundering. And this is an example of that. See? I don't even know what, I haven't agreed to that, but this young lady wanted me to sign this form. Okay? So this is the kind of thing when you sign your powers over to other people. It's like a power of attorney. And the only time, if I was ever to get a power of attorney, I would be getting members of my family that I'm actually close to. I'm quite sure they'd be quite happy to have power of attorney to say what to do with their own family member. I wouldn't be getting an agent I know nothing about. Okay? I wouldn't be getting an agent who are doing everything secretly. I wouldn't. Why would you? It's just stupid. It's common sense. Okay, so I'm exposing in the moment and confirming why God spoke to me to be careful. Because when you're that sensitive to, your situation and to God and the Holy, listening for God for yourself. Okay, this is only for a minute. I'm not God. Okay, I do believe. Don't ever think I am, because I don't think like that. I just know. But I'm giving God the glory for my testimony, because all the glory belongs to Him and only Him. Okay, but these are the kind of things I'm supposed to know, and yet she's saying that that gives them the authority, obviously, without telling me, and they want me to sign these forms. So this is a good example of the New Age order. It explains why I've been singled out And but what I'm finding also, which is not fair, is that I have gone to, they've declined me. I'll go to WINS and do my bit, and the call centres are doing their own thing. Okay, yesterday I had a massive argument or a disagreement with a call centre female named Lily, who wanted to go through with me the processes. They're making me repeat with every different person that's handling my situation. That is disgusting, that is disrespectful, that is abuse, that is inhumane, that is crimes against humanity. And to think that they made me do this since I lost my privacy, that is bad. That's why I react the way I do. I get impatient, and rightly so, because it's just triggering. They're making me repeat. Okay, but these people who are breaking the law are on behalf of these secret societies linked to these women. They're trying to find out private information. I know that they've gone looking for Henry because I've mentioned him. They've come in my space. They're using their job. They're asking me personal questions that has nothing to do with why they're hired. And then they're disclosing personal information like gossip to people that is actually none of their business. So unfortunately, Work and Income has broken the law. Okay, and I've gone to Work and Income. They tell me one thing. They've said no, it's not the call centre can tell you whatever they want to say, but it is the case officers who make the decision. I already knew that. Okay, and then I get the call centres interrogating me. Historically, they've done this. They've used the call centre to interrogate, to ask questions. It's also a tactic to try and find out, to help win their court cases, to keep an innocent civilian in the know. Okay, and then I go on radio and hear songs like, I know they're ridiculing me, they're mocking me, and then they'll say no scums. I mean, when you get people talking like that, everybody knows that, we want to get them out of their prominent job. Okay, when people like that start talking like that, they definitely need to be removed, because that their motive and intent is not for public welfare. It's not for the interest of, they're not good people to be around with. This is it. This is why I felt God. Not only that, if I had signed up, none of my family will see me. If I sign my authority to these agents, my family will not be allowed to visit me. They will not be allowed to have access to me in there. That no one can come. And my culture is, I'm very family orientated. I've got to see my family as much as, everyone has their family issues, stuff like that. But, family is family. And some cultures, they're forgiving, they have their problems. It doesn't mean they can hate each other now and then, but they still love each other, But that was why I felt no. I would be putting myself at risk, knowing where the state of my court cases is. It also means these people have authority over my court case winnings and anything to do with me without even my family knowing anything about it. And they can just be notified, oh, your loved one has just passed away, blah, 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 and let lie, because that's what I'm up against. I'm up against the lies. I'm up against the unlawful everything that they've done to me. So, and that's what I'm doing. So I'll leave it at that. But, I hope my experience helps you read your set of circumstances. And I'm basically just confirming I have a reason to believe I'm supposed to be doing this to help everybody else, okay? I mean, you can't put money on a person's life, all right? And if people don't know how to protect themselves, don't even know that they're even targeted, and then, the government won't intervene like they used to, they wait till, after the fact, that's not a good system. That's bad. Okay, so I'll leave it at that. I'm sorry I've gone over a little bit, but I think I've said what I needed to say. But this is the new war order system. This is the government system. And these agencies also, just by reading the legislation, it is actually set out for agencies to retrieve people's information. I mean, common sense says, why would anyone care? If they can if they can get away with stealing, why not? They can get away doing something without getting caught. Why not? Okay? But it can happen to anybody. But it shouldn't be, but it is. All right.